Yeah, you're in your sister Steph's beauty salon there. Do you think she'd like to sponsor the show? Have you got some of those nail colours still in front of you that you might be able to show us as an example of what we might be able to get?
It's just a really great range of nail colours. So any colour of the rainbow, Bellagio Beauty has you covered. So yeah, I'll get on to it. We'll see how we go.
Hello and welcome to Burning Questions Queensland. There's been a lot going on, it has to be said, in preparation for this recording. Before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Whether you're celebrating or shoveling up after your superstar horses, you want your stable staff to look their best. And you can do that with uniforms from Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety, which has you covered for clothing and protective equipment. Now, I don't know how much should we reveal about what's going on prior to this. Anyway, we might start with you, Matty Craven. You look like you're in a beautiful part of the audience. In fact, it looks like you've got a painting hanging behind you. You're on the farm, just enjoying life. You said it's the best day since you've been up in Queensland, so life is good for you, brother.
Yeah, it's a lovely day here in Glenmorganvale, out of John and Jeanette McMullins, and this is sort of, a lovely peaceful setting where the horses seem to really enjoy being up here.
Now, it's fair to say that you had a little bit of trouble connecting to the team's chat, but having said that, even after maybe 15 minutes of trying to work that out, Brittany had another 12 minutes of trying to get herself together. Now, Britt, you have been pretty open in smashing me religiously for being a frantic, disorganised, broken human being, but what I've witnessed in the last half an hour, you've bridged the gap significantly, I've got to tell you.
Well, to be fair, you told me 12:35. I was on board at 12:31. Actually, we're at 1:30, so I was not an hour early. I was just a bit confused just then. But no, I was basically very early, and then we mucked around for a little while, and my phone nearly went dead. But yeah, I'm still not at your level, so I'm all good.
Just tell me this: are you plugged into some power source at the moment? Because it seems to have been a real point of consternation for some time now. Are you plugged in? Is the power point on?
No, I couldn't get anything to reach, so we'll just see how we go. Hey.
We'll see how we go. Nikkita, how are you? We just watched your horse race at Cranbourne. Unfortunately, didn't win, but wasn't one of the favourites. Are you quite happy with that?
Yeah, I think that was only his second start. Still improved from that and learning experience this campaign, Bon.
Every chance that Brittany's run out of power base. No, she's back. This is magnificent. I'm glad the world gets to see this behind the curtain. We'll start with you, Nikkita. Is King of Swingers close to a moral as you can get a Grand Circuit level?
I think so, Bon. I think drawing gate one as he did, we've seen him lead and win so many times. The last time he led and was defeated was the Victoria Cup in 2020, obviously being beaten by Lochinvar. So look, I think he was absolutely super last time in defeat last week in the Sunshine Sprint. So I think it looks his race definitely Saturday night.
Weirdly enough, Matty, like after everything he's achieved, Miracle Miles and Hunter Cups, I was more impressed with his run in the Sunshine Sprint last weekend because the circumstances were so different than just about ever before. So, I mean, it's racing, so you're never a certainty, but he's about as close as you get.
Yeah, look, he's a super horse, and he's run Saturday night, proved that without winning, and to go in tomorrow night, you would say he's as good a certainty as there can be, unless some of the other drivers want to take it right up to him, and they have to do that in the first 50 if that's going to be the case. If they all concede, it's his race, and he'll just probably go around and work harder at home. But it'll be interesting to see if anyone wants to chance their arm in the first 50. And looking at it, and you could see, which one would do that. Amazing's Dream, in the Rising Sun actually showed extremely good gate speed, and she could be one. But the one that I think could take it right up to him is his stablemate, Spirit of St. Louis, in the first 50. They say how electric speed he has. It's just whether the stablemate actually wants to chance his arm and see if he can get across to the fence. And it's probably, he's capable of it. It's just whether they want to do it.
What do you reckon, Britt? Did you just fix something up on the phone there? Do you think there's any chance that anybody has got any hope of crossing King of Swing? Because that's the only possible way I can see him getting beaten. I think everyone probably agrees.
Yeah, it's going to be mighty hard after how the Barry draw has played out. He's drawn down in one, and probably the one horse that could have really put it to him early on and Turn It Up has drawn the back row. So, yeah, I'm not too sure in terms of what happens early on here. There's a few Copy That and Rock and Marty that probably have good gate speed, but not great gate speed. And from the inside draw there, if they have a really good shot at him and don't succeed, well, their race is probably over as well. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what happens early on, but I'm just really not sure how they roll him, because he's just going to get away with a really easy lead time by the looks of things. And he's got such a good record over a sprint trip. He's obviously a multiple Miracle Mile winning horse, but his record over the long trip is also super. So if they let him get away with anything at all, he's going to make them pay. And he just loves being on the fence as well. So, yeah, it looks past the post as much as it can be for mine.
I still can't quite call him a champion. I can't just bring myself over that bridge to call him a champion, but he's a very good horse. By the way, Britt, this show's always looking for new sponsors. I think we've got a new one. I can't reveal it yet. You're in your sister Steph's beauty salon there. Do you think she'd like to sponsor the show? Have you got some of those nail colours still in front of you that you might be able to show us as an example of what we might be able to get?
It's just a really great range of nail colours. So any colour of the rainbow, Bellagio Beauty has you covered. So, yeah, I'll get on to her. We'll see how we go.
It sounds like she's already become a sponsor, an unpaid sponsor at this point, Bellagio Beauty, but at least you got a plug in. Skeeter, the next question is, in fact, we'll go to Maddie first here because we should. Can little Pink Galahs go it alone from her second row draw and continue this Queensland domination? Do you think you'll have to? And if she does have to, do you think you can still win? She's just flying, this little mare, Maddie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the race pans out. I watched a few of the videos throughout the week, and Humble Lad actually has shown, some really good gate speed back in New Zealand. So, even though he's drawn wide on the track, he could really sort of stamp himself on the race early. And, Majestic Simon with the one alley is probably going to be wanting to try and lead as well. So if they happen to be up on the speed and we're back in the ruck, it's going to be a really tough race to sort of get into. But it'll be interesting. I mean, she's done such a great job throughout the series, and this was her main aim, coming to Queensland. So I'm hoping she's come through these runs and still, probably hopefully finding her peak this week. But she'll have to be very, very good to be, doing what she's done in the last 3 weeks again this week.
She is very, very good, though, isn't she?
Well, she is, and I wouldn't be swapping her. That's for sure.
Interestingly, I don't know if you saw that poll I put on Twitter, but the drag race between she and Majestuoso over 200 metres, well, the public are with little Pink Galahs. I think she got 57.4% of the respondent vote. I spoke to Jimmy Herberton before on the Victorian edition of Burning Questions and said he was identifying as a Latina woman. Well, Brittany Graham was identifying as a black screen for about 2 minutes before, but that's okay. She's back with us now to respond to this. Pink Galahs, if she needs to go it alone here, is she good enough to win? This is her main aim, as Maddie said, all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys, not having the best luck with my internet today, but we'll see how we go from here on out. But no, I was really, really impressed with what she did last week. And I just went black again, didn't I? Let me start that one more time. Glenmorganvale's not too far from Fernvale, but it's doing a much better job when it comes to the Wi-Fi networks at the moment. But no, I'm so impressed with what Pink Galahs did last week, and the fact that mobile conditions seem to suit her even better than the stand conditions do certainly is a little bit probably concerning for her main rivals. In saying that, a few of the higher assessed trotters that were maybe off 30 metres when she were off 20 now are on sort of equal playing terms. So yeah, my probably one concern is I'm not sure who her track into the race is this week. And I know that she had a really good track into the race, probably to the 700 or the 600 last week, and then she still had to go it alone. So it wasn't like she had a toe right into proceedings. But yeah, those off there is a bit of gate speed, which is promising, but no doubt Anthony Butt will know that he'll have to get her going at some point in time. So I'm just not sure who that card is into the race this week, but maybe Maddie can just put them to the sword at the 600 like he did last time out and make it a one-horse race.
Did you happen to vote in that poll, Brittany, between Pink Galahs and Majestuoso, quickest over 200 metres?
No, I probably should have, though, now that you've asked me that question, huh? But you didn't follow me on Twitter for a long time, so I just must have missed that one.
Yeah, no, I knew. I was just going to reference that's why you don't vote in my polls, because I forgot to follow you on Twitter for 2.5 years. Skeeter, what are your thoughts? Pink Galahs, will she be good enough even if adverse circumstances are confronted?
Look, I think she can be, Bon. She's obviously been enjoying her Queensland holiday along with Maddie, and she can just sustain that sprint for such a long period. It's not just a 100 or 200 metre sprint. She can sustain that, and that is what we saw on Saturday night. So Look, she's going to have to be very, very good because you obviously have Tough Monarch, Humble Lads racing really well. There's some really nice horses in the race, but I think if there is a little bit of speed on early, absolutely she can be coming with one run and get over the top of them.
I think she can. It's going to be a great clash. I think Tough Monarch's the only realistic danger, to be honest. Matty, we start with you again. The question's about Bondi Lockdown, but you've got a big role to play here. Will Bondi Lockdown hold or hand in the Derby? Now, Lamandier, I think you've got a pretty good opinion of him. He's big odds. He's also got gate speed. What do you see happening in the first 200 or 300 metres?
Yeah, well, Amanda Turnbull will take the drive on him, and he's been difficult at best with a few of his lead-up runs, and you've seen him over-racing those. And she might not have a choice as to what happens at the start. If he really switches on and wants to run, she might just have to go with him. And probably the thing with Bondi Lockdown, some of his best runs have been in front, so I'm sure they'll want to be holding up if they can. But he also has been a little bit funny out of the gate as well. So the one hole may be a little bit tricky for him, and it'll be very interesting. But as far as the Lamandier goes, I'll just leave that entirely up to Amanda what she wants to do. If he does want to let rip, well, she'll just have to go with him, and hopefully he'll settle. And that'll be the main key with him. He's got to settle. And we've made a little change this week with a different bit on, and I worked him in at the track today and give him a good stir up, and he was okay. So I just hope that I've got him right for Saturday night.
In a word, is he good enough to win?
I would say no at this stage.
That's called brutal honesty, and that's what we love, Skeet. That's what the Burning Questions is all about, brutal honesty. Looking in the mirror and telling us what you see. Skeeter, what are your thoughts here? Does Bondi Lockdown try and keep the front? We spoke with Aaron Dunn on radio on Trot's Life here on SEN Track today. Something just went off. And he sort of suggested the horse can really over-race is the problem. So I've got a funny feeling they'll be looking for a trail somewhere. I don't know whether American Dealer is going to be on the scene quick enough. It's just a bit of an awkward race, isn't it?
It is, and interestingly enough, we've seen Bondi Lockdown up on the premises a lot, but quite often outside the leader. The only time under race conditions he has led is when he won at Charlton and he beat albeit inferior rivals by 60+ metres. So we don't have a great guide to know how he goes in front. However, I tend to think that over the longer trip that happy to take cover with him. Obviously, American Dealer was probably the horse that Aaron Dunn would potentially want to sit behind, knowing how well he went last week. However, I just don't know whether he does have the speed to get across Bondi Lockdown with some of the speed outside like Lamandier. So it is going to be very interesting at the start. But look, I think they will come out quite positive on Bondi Lockdown, but ultimately look for cover.
The tweeting of those birds is extraordinary. It's just amazing. It's just wonderful and scenic. I'm loving it. I feel very natural and rural. And prayers for LB Ashwood if he does have a bet on Bondi Lockdown, because he doesn't know the difference between Boy from Bondi and Bondi Lockdown. So hopefully he backs them both either. What do you reckon, Britt? Does he hold up? Does he try and keep the front here? Aaron Dunn's still kicking himself for driving Bondi Lockdown too conservatively last week. So that's the only thing in the back of my mind that he'll think, do I want to go back to Victoria and never have given it a decent crack?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because there are quite a few speedsters off the front row that probably would have the speed to maybe get into a forward position, but not necessarily hold that. So Aaron Dunn has a real question and a query on his hands as to whether he's willing to hand up to any of those horses. But I thought American Dealer left the arm well last week in what was the Southeast Derby, but sort of restrained and tucked back in. I think he's getting better each time he steps out in Queensland and just getting used to that really hard and fast style. So he's trending in the right direction. I think he might be able to do enough to poke through at the start and at least hold his position and then maybe make his way to the front. He has won good races in New Zealand from in front, but he's really growing on me, American Dealer, and he's on the upward trajectory and his confidence is high, whereas Krug had that really hard run last time out and got beat up a little bit by a few other older horses. So it will be interesting to see how he bounces back.
It's going to be a cracking race. The final burning question on this Queensland edition, will Victoria's two-pronged attack prove too much for the locals in the Oaks? There was a reason that I got Matty Craven on here because we wanted a very strong Victorian contingent to go against you here, Brett. We know you're super parochial for the locals. We'll start with you. Can any of the locals beat Soho Broadway in moments like these?
Well, I'm tipping Soho Broadway, so there you go. You've written me off too early here. Yes, I know, and you know what will happen now. But no, she was really, really good last week in defeat. From that draw, from where she was to get as close as she did, it was a massive effort. So from the good gate on Saturday night, I think the thing about her is that now Michael Stanley has the options. He can try and lead them all the way if he wants. He's got Sporty Dancer on his back, and there's a few horses that would be suitable to follow on his outside. So just knowing that whatever scenario she is in, she should get her opportunity. That's sort of why I've gone with her. Sporty Dance was really good last week and probably unextended, but if she's 3 fence, it gets a little bit tricky. But no, I was impressed by what I saw from Soho Broadway last week, and it's the same trip, whereas the Derby Colt, they step up in trip. These fillies go over the middle distance once more.
Matty, I think what last week confirmed is what we've known for a while, that these Victorian fillies are coming from the strongest group of 2- and 3-year-old fillies I think we've seen in more than 10 years, maybe more than 20 years. So even though Soho Broadway moments like these aren't up there with your ladies in red and Tough Tilly, they're very, very good fillies, and I think both of them are going to be hard to beat on Saturday night.
Yeah, the group of these 3-year-old fillies was just an amazing crop, and we've seen that they were probably even a few lengths better than the boys last year. And I think coming into the spring and the summer, you'll see some pretty strong form lines coming from that 2-year-old racing for these 3-year-old fillies. And I think from the draw, Soho Broadway is going to take a power of beating, but Sporty Dancer sitting on her back could be the blowout. I wouldn't say she's a blowout, but the one to beat her, that's for sure.
It's a weird situation, Skeeter. I actually think moments like these is probably a slightly better filly than Soho Broadway, but the draw makes a big difference.
It does. I thought they were both excellent on Saturday night, Soho Broadway, and moments like these. Obviously, didn't have a whole heap go their way from the draws, but they were both really excellent runs. So Soho Broadway, we know she's got good gate speed. We have seen it down here a few times when Mick Stanley has asked her. So I suspect, just knowing Mick Stanley a little bit, and we have spoken to him about his tactics. I think it may have even been with Soho Broadway on Burning Questions, and he said he was going to hold the lead. So look, I think that will be the case. And that one very small query, Sporty Dancer on his back, obviously winning from the same position recently. So that is a bit of a query, but I think she was going really well, and Mick gets his horses for races so well. So I think she's a fantastic winning chance, Soho Broadway, probably just over moments like these given the draws.
All right, it's best bet time. Brittany, I've always held your professionalism in the highest esteem, but the way you were behaving before we got on air and what you've been able to do since the camera started rolling, it's just, well, it's a credit to you and your family. I don't know if you want to show us the pajama bottoms that you're wearing as well. We wouldn't. No, that's okay. We're not going to get a look at those. But regardless of that, who's your best on Saturday night at Albion Park?
Thought that was a circle of trust. Apparently not. I'll note that for future reference. Race 10, number 1, Ahoka Chopper on Saturday night. Hopefully we'll build to bank through the feature races, and he can get the job done in the last. So that's my best on Saturday.
If you want it vaulted, you asked for it to be vaulted prior to the revelation. That's just for future reference. Matty, who's your best on the card?
Yeah, I found the card really tough to find a standout. I thought Soho Broadway and Sporty Dancer, to run 1-2. And I also thought Alma's Image, drawn back to the pole mark and on the fence, I think, could run a really nice race from there.
I'm going to go as my best bet, the horse that Albie Ashwood calls Kirk. I know that he had a tough run last week, but I just think Kirk can bounce back. Krug. Skeeter, your best?
Or is it Krug?
It's like Grug, the old picture books for the kids. What do you reckon, Skeeter? Best?
I'm sticking with the Victorians and going with Soho Broadway. Hopefully, I think she will be able to lead and get the job done for the Victorians in the Oaks.
Appreciate your time, Matty. I am the FOMO is quite enormous looking at that scene behind you and the fact that you're up where I wish I could be right now. Good luck on the weekend, brother.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Brittany. You're an absolute superstar, and the ability to maintain composure under adverse circumstances. You're a special human. Well done. You can respond or not. That's up to you. That's
I've got
the thumb. And Skeeter, well done to you. That's back-to-back burning questions. Hopefully we found some winners.
Fingers crossed, Bon. Thank you.
Sponsored by Hip Pocket Workwear and also the jacket here by Men's Club, who's another sponsor at Harness Racing Victoria. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Signing off for the Queensland edition of Burning Questions, heading in to the climax of their carnival, the Blacks of Fake, on Saturday night.